Gracias, señor.
Oh, de nada.
If y'all are glad to be in here enjoying free pizza, let me hear you say, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't had any pizza. Did y'all save me some for later? Okay. I am so thrilled to get to speak to all of you because you showed up. What does showing up mean? Anybody, raise your hand. What's showing up? Come on, somebody knows. Anybody? Yes. That what? That you're interested, okay? There are no right or wrong answers. I'd love to get some more thoughts as to what showing up means to you. Yes, Gloria. I'm sorry?
Just being there.
Just being there. I'd love to get one more answer. Yes. Getting the right start, okay. Woody Allen. Have you ever heard of the name Woody Allen? Actor, director, producer, notoriety. Woody Allen once said that 80% of life is just showing up. And y'all showed up. Now, I could have showed up. If I was a student, I could be here. And I'm showing up, right? I'm here. But when I saw that quote about 80%, it made me think, what's the other 20%? If just being there is only 80, what would it take for me to be 100%? What is that 20% made of? Years ago, I worked in retail, and we would have people that we call part-timers. Has anybody ever had a part-time job? We just work a few hours, and you know, you're kind of there to fill in the gaps. They need somebody on weekends, maybe in the evenings, to cover the 5 to 9 o'clock shift at Brahms or Dillard's or wherever. Well, we used to get people, and we call them warm bodies. That's not exactly very nice. But I think about what it means to show up. Show up means just being there. But if I can be present, if I can be awake and I can be attentive, I might just have a better chance than just showing up. I now have the opportunity to perhaps be closer to 100% and really absorbing information because I'm awake for it. I'm there for it. I get to experience everything that's going on, and chances are, if I am paying attention, I just might remember something that will help me in my lifetime. I want you all to look around the room and look at everybody that bothered to show up today. Look and see everybody who's here. Is there anybody that's missing that you know? They're going to miss out on an awesome, awesome experience because they didn't get to show up with all of you and they didn't get free pizza. I want to share something with you that occurred to me a while back. How many of you have ever had something really crappy happen to you? Just something really that you just didn't want? Dime, what happened? Can you share it with us? Yeah.
Out of all things?
Yeah, just anything. Just something that you just didn't really plan for and just kind of came your way and it didn't make you very happy. What was it?
Who was it?
Well, what happened to you?
Just had a phone call of a cousin that died.
Okay, she got a phone call. A cousin of hers had passed away. Anybody else? Thank you for sharing that. Who else has had some really bad stuff happen to you? Yeah, go ahead.
My mother abandoned us.
Wow, okay. Her mother abandoned her and her family. Anybody else? I'd love one more. Yes, please.
My grandfather died.
Your grandfather died. Okay, these are pretty serious things, right? We can't really control the stuff that happens to us. Events are happening all the time. What's the definition of an event? Anybody? Oh, come on. We're college people. Anyone? Okay. Events are the things that happen to us. Everything that happens to you, whether it's good, whether it's bad, no matter what it is, it's an event. So for the sake of a metaphor, I'm going to use these 3 strips of carpet as spatial areas. Can everybody see there's a grounded piece of carpet here, there's a stripe in the middle, and then there's another grounded piece over here. Everybody see that? Okay. This area represents all the stuff that will ever happen to me. Sometimes it's going to be great, like, yes, I won $10 in the lotto. Or yes, I didn't have to pay $200 to get my car fixed. Or yes, who cares? Anyway, good stuff is going to happen, but it's not always good. Sometimes stuff isn't the way we want it to be, and I can't control it. So, I have news for you. I thought, what would be the most valuable lesson that I could share with you, that you could take with you? So I thought, and I thought, and I thought. And then it came to me. Here it is. The most valuable thing I can teach you about life. Are you ready? Bad stuff is going to happen to you. You're very, very welcome. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What? I can't say that. What do you mean I can't say that to the college students at Eastfield? Uh-huh. Okay, hold on. Take two. Marty Ruiz presents valuable life lesson. I was told that I had to be positive. I'm positive bad stuff is going to happen to you. You're very welcome. Those are the events, students. Those are the events. Some of the things that happen to us are just really, son muy malos, just not good stuff. But that doesn't mean that it's going to defeat my spirit. It doesn't mean that it's going to squash my dreams, because this is where I have power. This is the letter R. This was events. We're going to use the letter E to represent events. Here I'm going to stand on this wonderful space that goes, oh, I love this. It actually borders the whole room. This is a divine drop-in, as I call it. This metaphor has now been extended to encompass the entire room. This is where I have personal power. This is where I get to respond. Who knows the difference between reaction and responding? Yes, please.
You are thinking about whenever you respond and whenever you just react, it's kind of key at the moment.
There you go. Did everybody hear that? When you react, it's kind of keyed to the moment. It's something that you do without thinking. You just automatically go there. But when you react, when you respond, you have an opportunity to think it through. How can I deal with this? How can I cope with this? How can I turn this piece of mierda over here and make something wonderful out of it? This is where I have personal power. It's how I respond to the stuff over here that I didn't like. I can't change it. I'm not talking about pretending like it didn't happen, because it's a reality. Our grandparents die. Our families leave us. We have financial crisis. Maybe somebody bullies us. Maybe somebody's picking on us. Maybe just a lot of bad stuff's going on. But this is where I get to show my own power, because it is how I respond to this stuff that will change what's over here. This area I refer to as the letter, say it all together. What letter am I making? O. Does anybody have an idea what O stands for? Bravo, big hand. All right. So here is the formula, guys. The events plus my response to those events equals the outcome. I call it E plus R equals O. On three, I want you to say it with me. 1, 2, 3. E plus R equals O. And it stands for events plus response equals outcome. Say it with me on three. 1, 2, 3. Events plus response equals outcome. So there it is. Events plus response equals outcome. Oh my God, I feel like I'm doing the YMCA dance. So that is the formula. This is something that I fully believe in. I can't change what's going on here, but I do have impact on how it will resolve, what the outcome might be, because of how I responded to any situation that comes my way. I want to tell you a story about a young man. We'll call him Tucker. I met Tucker a year and a half ago in a college-level classroom. Tucker is only, at that time, was only 15 years old. Tucker was an amazing young man who was articulate. He was able to form his thoughts very clearly and cohesively. He was a phenomenal young man, and I was quite taken with his skills. And as I got to know Tucker, I interviewed him a little bit. I said, you know, I want to know what it is that makes you tick. And it turns out that this young man still goes to college in a far northeast high school. I'm sorry, goes to high school in a far northeast high school. And at the time, he was trying to create a group. This guy is truly a mover and a shaker. So he got all of the student body and said, I have the coolest idea I want to tell you about. I want to create something like a group of students to help all of the different clubs in our school. His high school had a large number of students there. And he wanted to help all the different clubs, the mathletes, the science club, all the various clubs, the Spanish club, Latin club. And he thought, how can we get more participation to help these clubs that just aren't getting the warm bodies in there? So he came up with this idea that he called the underground. The underground, that sounds kind of cool, right? So everybody was liking the idea of the underground, right? Because it was cool and it sounded a little bit kind of subversive and kind of edgy. So he needed help to build the underground. So he went to his principal's office. He visited with her. He told her everything there was to know about bullet by bullet point of what the underground is. He gave her a full description of how great all of these points were. And she shot him down. That was it. He told me this on the phone, and I said, how could she possibly deny such an incredible idea that everybody could get something from? And he said, Marty, I don't know, but I have another appointment with her next week. I'm going to try to shoot it to her again and see if she likes it. So the very next week, he goes back to her office, sat down, gave her all the points, point by point by point, of what the underground is. She said, I still don't like it. Get out of my office. He called me a few days later and said, you know, Marty, I don't know what's going on, but this is an awesome thing that I want to create, and I don't understand it. And I said, well, let me ask you, Tucker, what are you telling her? He said, well, I'm giving her all of the descriptions of what the underground is. And I said, what the underground is? Let me ask you something. What's the underground going to do for the student body? And he lit up. Now, this is on the phone. He lit up. His energy immediately expanded. He said, oh, man, it's going to be awesome. It helps every student learn how to step up. It helps them become more responsible. It gets them involved with other ideas and different types of clubs that ordinarily they would not be involved in. It helps them become a joiner in, how to become a participant in life, and how to be perceived by the entire student body as someone who knows how to participate and contribute. And I said, Tucker, tell that to your principal. Don't tell her what it is. Tell her what it's going to do. And guess what? He had a third appointment with her. He sat down and he told her everything that the underground would now do for the student body. He was actually sharing benefits, not the features, not the description, but how it would serve the entire school. Every student would get something powerful out of being a part of this. And guess what? She approved of it. But she did have one qualm. I asked him, Tucker, let me ask you this. How does she feel about the name? I know it's kind of hip and you're only 15 years old and it's kind of really neat to have a name like the Underground. But what does she think about it? He said, oh, she hates it, man. She didn't like it at all. And I asked him, have you thought about changing the name to something that might be more universally accepted? And she said, well, actually, I did. I talked to my buddies. We're changing the organization's name to Helping Other People Everywhere. And I said, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Helping Other People Everywhere? H-O-P-E. I loved it. And she bought it. Not only did he get the support that he needed from the faculty, all of the students who are now going to be participating in this very cool project, his principal took the initiative and contacted a colleague at SMU to see about implementing this same concept there at the college level. I was so proud for him, blown away that he was able to stay with his dream, because being slammed down over here at the events would have been very easy for him to say, forget it. She doesn't like it. Why should I keep trying? I keep getting shot down. Why should I even give a darn? But he didn't. he did not quit. He went here, and not only did he change the way he presented it, but he also was able to prove to himself that by staying with his dream, he changed his own outcome. So I asked him shortly after, we were having a phone call, and I said, you know, after being shot down so many times, why did you stick with this? I mean, it would have been so easy for you to say, forget it. And he said, because I believed in the dream. I believed that this dream had so much benefit and so much power for everybody here in the school. Even after I've gone, if the Hope organization is still here, other students will still get the benefits of what we've left behind. So he was able to stick with his dream. And what I want to tell all of you students is that no matter what dream you may have, no matter how big it is, no matter how incredible it is, you have the ability to make it real. Because this is where you have power in how you respond. No dream is too big, and it's never too late to start your dream. If you believe any part of what I just said, let me hear you say, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who knows the definition of the word synergy? Have you ever heard that word? S-Y-N-E-R-G-Y. Anybody? Synergy. Yes. Thank you. One more time. Working as a team. That'll work. I will take that. The actual definition of synergy is if you have, let me break it down for you in very simple terms. 1 + 1 equals more than 2. It's the power of teamwork. Thank you for sharing that. It's the power of teamwork. There is something incredible that happens when you take everything you know and everything you're good at and work with somebody else who also brings their skills into the formula. Do you see that? Because you now have more power than each of you working individually. As a team, you have expanded. You've expanded all the potential of what you can do because you're more than just the power of 2 individuals. 2 together can actually equal the power of 3 or 4 or 5, which is the definition of synergy. 2 things can make more power than they can alone when they are combined by many times. A few years ago, oh, let me talk about my paintings. Have I talked about my paintings yet? You can applaud them anytime. Oh. Thanks, guys. I've been painting ever since I was a child. I started off doing stick figures, and they were all like wrong. You know, the leg was here, and the patita was over there, and you know, they were just wrong. But I actually started doing greeting cards many years ago, and I evolved. No, I didn't grow a hand on the top of my head. But I evolved, and I got to start doing really fun things like showing at art festivals, and I've had the opportunity and the privilege to be a featured artist at many art shows around the city of Dallas. So this is one of the things I love, and we are Mexican, Italian, Spanish. Can I get an amen? So I'm what you call a triple Latino threat. I know I don't seem very ethnic, but I am Mexican, Italian, Spanish, so we love color. When I was growing up, when I was about this big, I was always running around making trouble, you know, stealing taquitos and stuff, and just always doing stuff. And my mother came up to me one day and said, Martin David Ruiz, why can't you just be good? And I said, Mommy, I'll be good for a quarter. And she said, why can't you be like your daddy and just be good for nothing? so I was always doing stuff, always getting in trouble. But little did I ever know that one day I would have the opportunity, get in here, I would have the opportunity to actually make a living doing my art. Who knew? Who knew? But this is one of the 3 things that I'm very passionate about. I love doing art. As my mom used to say, when people would say, Irene, what does your house look like? And she said, well, imagine if a piñata exploded and hit the wall. That kind of looks like that, right? A lot of color. We had color everywhere. It was like living inside of a Crayola box. So in my artwork, I like images that are very positive, that represent good feelings here. They don't necessarily have to have deep messages. You know how some artists will do things and they'll say, oh, you got to come see my art. It's about looking through the third eye and seeing the next dimension and how mankind will evolve into purple people. That's lovely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. But as you can see, my art is pretty straightforward. It's pretty direct. I love color. I like emotional things that people can see and they say, it makes me feel good. It doesn't have to be anything really elaborate or really deep. It just makes you feel good. It's happy. I had a lady that walked into my booth this weekend. Do you know the Cottonwood Art Festival? Have you ever heard of it? Were you there this weekend? I was there this weekend too, freezing my off. But we were there and I did sell a couple of pieces. But at the Cottonwood Art Festival, there's about 250 artists and we all get to show our artwork. So while we were there, I actually sold a couple of pieces, but people would come into my booth and they're walking. Now you have to imagine they're seeing a lot of artists, one after another. So after a while you can kind of become a little overwhelmed, but they walk into my booth and they're like, wow, you love color. And I say, yeah. But how many of you are artists? Anybody here have a passion for art? Tell me, what does art mean to you? What is art? In your own words. An expression of emotion. Somebody else had their hand up. Who else had their hand up back? Yes, please. Creative outlet? Great. One more. What is art? Yes. Expressing your feelings. I had someone once say that art is taking an inward emotion and expressing it with an outward medium. It doesn't matter if you write. It doesn't matter if you sing, if you play an instrument, if you are learning how to become a better speaker. It doesn't matter what you do. So long as it's something that you're feeling in here and you're putting out there for the world to receive, that's your gift. You're giving something, you're giving a part of yourself. You're giving something to the world that you will be known by, that you will be remembered by. Long after I've gone, which hopefully isn't too soon, but long after I've gone, there's going to be people looking at my art one day and say, we met this guy a long time ago. He's a crazy Mexicano. And he painted paintings that were really joyful, and we still have one. I think it's kind of dusty. Let me get it out of the closet. But I hope that I will leave a mark. Just like every one of you in this room will have the opportunity to leave your mark by doing what you believe you are meant to do. No one can take away your dream. No one. Only you. And if you follow your path and you remember the importance of, what is this letter? R. How you respond. That is how you will make your dreams come to reality. Years ago, I started with a group that we created of artisans. We were called Art with a Cause. And what we were was about 12 artists. We got together and we would have art shows at different venues, either at banks or wineries or wherever. And we would always make sure that we had a beneficiary. Do you know what a beneficiary is? Okay, so basically we would have perhaps either a silent auction or a raffle, and every artist would donate something, and then all the proceeds that would be made would go to benefit the beneficiary. Now, Bob Hopkins introduced me to PAVE a few years back. I'm sure he may have told you about philanthropy and volunteerism in education, P-A-V-E. So we've had several events to help PAVE get a little bit more exposure, to be seen in the public, and to help them financially with what we were able to create with our silent auction. So going back for a moment to Synergy, when I first started, I thought that I could kind of head up Art with a Cause on my own. No way, Jose. No way, Josue. So I actually got two other artists to help me. One of them was going to handle one particular discipline. She would handle all of the artist communications. I would handle all the communications with the people that we were doing the show with. And then we had somebody else who took care of all of the correspondence and the bookkeeping. Now that's synergy. By having three people doing the work of what used to be one, we were able to accomplish so much more as a group. Who knows the definition of the word philanthropy besides Professor Hopkins? I would love for someone to raise their hand on this one, because I know somebody knows. Oh, hello. Who would like to tell me what their definition of philanthropy is? Yes, please.
The love of mankind. It's helping your fellow man, whether it's planting trees in a park or if it's donating money to help an organization.
Thank you. Thank you. Did everybody hear that? Being of help to mankind. When I had the first opportunity to volunteer with PAVE, I was asked by Professor Hopkins to join several other adult volunteers at an elementary school in far, far North Dallas. It was in Carrollton, I believe. Yes. And when I was on my way there, you know how you have those moments where you have those aha moments and you think, God, I'm not a pendejo after all. Something came to me. So it occurred to me, I thought, how can I interact with these very young students that are like 9, weren't they about 9 and 10, Professor Hopkins? They were very young, but very, very bright. And they were in philanthropy and volunteerism in education was relatively new at the time. And Bob had asked me to come and just interact with the kids. And I thought, I would love to do something with the word philanthropy that these kids would understand. And then I remembered something that my mom used to talk about. When she was growing up in Robstown, has anybody ever heard of Robstown near Corpus Christi? It's an all-Latino town. Anyway. When she was growing up, they did a lot of gardening. This was back in the 30s and 40s, so everybody planted their own cotton. They planted corn, they planted wheat, and a lot of South Texas was very agricultural. So my mother was very much the gardener, and so she knew what it meant to plant a seed in the ground and wait. You had to wait not only for it to start to begin to grow roots, but the water had to be right, the soil had to be right, the lighting had to be right, the temperature had to be right. All these things have to be proper. They have to be just in the right place for that little seed to become either a flower, a shrub, a tree, a fruit, whatever. So what I used with the kids at this elementary school, I said, imagine that you have a big sack, like Johnny Appleseed, a big sack full of seeds, and we spend all of our lifetime reaching into this sack and throwing a seed out there, either planting it or taking one and just casting it out and letting it land wherever it will. Think of these seeds as something more than just an agricultural seed. Think of these as acts of kindness. Saying something to a friend who's not feeling so great. Maybe there's a bully who's on their back. Or maybe their parents are giving them a really hard time. You don't know. We don't know. But maybe if we say something and just plant that seed out there, we might make a difference. So, philanthropies. I use a silly little metaphor, but the kids got it, and it kind of made Professor Hopkins chuckle. Fill my bag and throw peas. I use peas instead of seeds because it was philanthropy. My mother, I think I already mentioned my Mexican mamacita earlier. She was quite a colorful character, you know, the piñata that blew up on the wall. But my mother was an amazing woman. She had experienced an entire loss of her entire life fortune late in her life. A company that she worked for was suddenly bought by another company, and the owner of the company gambled all the assets away. And my mother's entire life pension suddenly disappeared in one day. She was 77 years old. She ended up working at a little taqueria. Do you know where Hobby Airport is in Houston? Well, right across from Hobby Airport, there's a little service station, and my mamacita worked there making burritos and breakfast tacos and chimichangas for a very ungrateful group of people who would come in every day, because that's kind of a rough neighborhood right there. But she was never happier because she felt she was making a difference. And she used to be upset. When she was a much younger woman, she would be very upset because she would do kind things for people. And you know that thing where you give something to someone, you give of your heart, you give of your time, and then later on you ask them to return the favor, and they have to say, I can't help you right now. And it's like, well, but my mother, as wonderful as she was, would sometimes be very unhappy with those people who couldn't respond to her needs right at that moment. So I remembered the whole thing about the gardening metaphor. And I explained to her, I said, you know, Mom, you've done so many good things for people your whole life. But just because you do it for them doesn't mean that they can give back right when you need them to. Because you have to look around and open your eyes and see all the good things that are going on around you all the time. Does anybody in here garden? Does anybody garden at all? Has anyone ever heard of the term volunteer in gardening? Do you know that word? Like if you're planting a garden and all of a sudden something from like a year or two ago pops up that's not part of what you planted this year, it's like, where the heck did that come from? I didn't plant any calabaza. And all of a sudden a squash is starting to grow. What has happened is the seed that was there from maybe a year or two before has suddenly started to pop up, and it's creating a volunteer. So I used this as a reason. I explained that when we're throwing all those peas, we're fill and throwing peas. We never know where those returns are going to come from. My mom felt so sad because her friends couldn't come to her help when she needed to. And I said, but you know what? I said, look at all the great things that are going on in your life. And even when she was working in that dirty little taqueria, she was never happier because she realized she was getting her needs met. She was serving people. She was being of help to people. She was making their breakfast. She would even say when they'd walk in, I'm not feeding you your chimichanga until I get my hug. Come over here. Ándale. So this was her attitude. She changed her response. She could have been very sour and said, you know what? I'm just going to give up. All my money is gone. But she would go in her little fake mink coat and her fake little diamond earrings and her chanclitas. And she would walk one long block all the way to that dirty little taqueria, and she had more fun those last 2 years of her life making breakfast for people. So it's how we respond to things that can completely change our lives. In this room, I see so much potential. If you only knew the potential that I see in all of your faces right now. Think about this. We don't know what the next 5 or 10 or 15 years may hold in your life, but in this room could be an astronaut. In this room could be a great writer or a great singer. We've had some incredible singers in the last 20, 30 years that came from Dallas. We could have the next female president. Can I get a yeah on that? Yeah. You never know. Who knows the greatness that lies in this room, because you are the seeds of what we will see tomorrow. And it's because you are in this school getting all the benefits of the teachers who want to see you succeed. When I was in college, I went to South Texas Junior College in Houston, and then I went to U of H for a short while, and then I kind of stopped going, which is awful, but I'm being honest with you. But what was happening is I was in these huge auditoriums with like 500, 600, 700 people, and of course I was way in the back because I didn't want anybody to see me. And we would see the professor, and the professor was about this big, way, way down there. And of course, you know, people are like behind their books, and they're like, sleep. Of course, we couldn't text back then. We didn't have smartphones. But we could, you know, do hangman or tic-tac-toe with somebody because we couldn't even be seen. But the thing was, back then, there was nothing to engage us. There was nothing to interact with. The teacher was so far away, and basically all they were doing was talking. But what I've seen when I've been to Professor Hopkins' class, it amazes me to see how he engages you. Doesn't he ask you questions? Doesn't he make you talk when you don't think you're supposed to? He actually challenges you to be not the best you can be, but the best versions of yourself that you can be. I think it's silly to tell somebody, be the best. Hey, be the best. I don't know that that's realistic. But I think it's more honest to say, be your best. I invite you to be your best. Because I believe you can. Because you have so many opportunities around you that I didn't have when I went to college in 1972. You have so much here and so much to gain. I want to tell you my final story about Toastmasters. Professor Hopkins mentioned a little while ago that a few years ago I joined a national organization called Toastmasters International. Who's ever heard of it? Raise your hand if you've ever heard those two words. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4. All right, yeah, thank you. Toastmasters International. When I first heard of it, I thought they were going to teach me how to make toast. I thought, wow, if I win, do I get a golden toaster? What do I get? Well, Toastmasters International is an organization that was started in 1924 to teach young men how to become better presenters, how to speak and how to sell. Because a lot of people were like, you know, they're mocosos, saying, oh, you want to buy it? Go ahead and buy it. It's okay. It's cool. But he told these men, you know what? You need to learn how to listen, because we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth. Which one do you think needs more exercise? Your ears, absolutely. I asked somebody, why do you think we have 2 ears and 1 mouth? And somebody said, because that keeps your glasses up. That'll teach me to ask. So Toastmasters basically was designed to help people become better communicators. And the way that you communicate is by listening. and making the connection. Before I began today, I endeavored to try to go around and shake everyone's hand and learn everyone's name. Is there anybody in this room who I did not shake your hand? Because if so, you were not here when I did so. Hello, my name's Marty. Adriana. Hi. Nice. You are? Quinn. Quinn, hi. There was another one. Was there another one here? Yes. You are? Brenda. Hi, Brenda. And you are? In Yemen. One more? In Yemen. In Yemen. Nice to meet you. Any more over there? One more. Una más. Here I come. Dime.
Karina.
Karina, nice to meet you. Have I now shaken the hand of every person in this room? Every person? Who have I missed? Don't hold back, guys. I didn't meet you.
Nick.
Nick. Hi, Nick.
Nice to meet you. Luis.
Luis. Now, are we official? Dime.
Luis.
Luis. Two Luises. I love it.
Luis.
Oh, no. Are you serious? Luis, Luis, Luis. And I am Marty Ruiz. We're a poem. I think we're iambic pentameter. I don't know. Have I met everybody now? Cool. The reason that I do that is not just because I wanted to get to meet you, but I wanted to make the connection with every person in this room. With everybody in here, I wanted to connect with you, even if it's just for a second. In Toastmasters, it's so important to know how to make the connection. And you don't have to be a Toastmasters International person to know how to do this. It's just more than showing up. It's more than the 80%. It's knowing how to make eye contact and really see that person and let them know that you're giving the most valuable thing in the world you can, and that is your time and your attention. When I was in Toastmasters, I had the opportunity to compete for a speech contest. And I found out, I'm not real competitive, but I'm game. So I joined and I went into this speech competition and I won. And then all of my clubs in the Toastmasters district here in Dallas competed against each other for another level of winning, which was called the area contest, and I won. And then I went to another level of all the areas that competed against one another, and that was called the division contest, and I won. Oh my God. And then all of the divisions in the Metroplex, which are 7, there's about 3,000 members in all of Dallas, then competed on one huge stage, and they call that the District 50 winner. This part of the United States is called District 50. And I competed, and I got on that stage, and I won. Oh my God. From that stage, 3 months later, I went to another stage in Palm Springs, California, and I got to compete for the World Championship of Public Speaking. Can you imagine competing for anything that's the world title? I thought, this is a dream. This can't be real. It's just me, Martin Ruiz, Mocosito, you know. How could I possibly be up there? But I was. And I was so ready to win that trophy. The trophy is incredible. It's about this high, guys. It's 4.5 feet tall. And I thought, yes, I want that on my dresser. And I thought, that would be so cool to have, right? Wouldn't you love to have a 4.5 foot tall trophy that says, you are the best in the world at anything? Can you imagine? Well, I would love to tell you that I won second runner-up, but I'd be lying. I would love to tell you that I won first runner-up. I'd still be lying. I would love to tell you that I took home first place. Big fat liar. I came home after a complete, unstoppable race of winning one trophy after another. And I came back with nothing except a little piece of paper this big that said, thank you for participating in the 2010 Toastmasters International Speech Contest, yours truly. I was devastated. I didn't know what it was like to not win. I hadn't been conditioned to not win because my winning streak was like this. I had no idea what it was like to deal with that event of disappointment. So when I got home to Dallas, I stopped going to Toastmasters. I was going to the meeting every week, nonstop, for 3 years. And I just quit going. I said, you know what? Forget it. I don't want to go. I don't want to go anymore. So I was kind of being a little spoiled, you know, a little cabroncito. So And a friend of mine, a very good friend, called me on it. And he said, Marty, you know, you love Toastmasters. You did all this work to prove that you could do something that you couldn't do before. And all of a sudden, you've let one deterrent create this sense of spoiled grapes. He said, you know what I think? And this is my best friend. He said, you know what I think? I think that the little boy inside, referring to, you know, little Marty, the little kid and all of us, I think the little boy inside is just sad because he didn't win a prize. And you know what? He was absolutely right. I thought about it. And I thought, you know, it isn't about the trophy. Sure, it would have been so cool to have a trophy this big. And I could have said, look at me. It's my birthday. But it would have given me lifetime bragging rights. But it also would have been something I would have to dust every week, right? Even though I didn't get to touch the hardware of that trophy, I got to touch the hearts of about 3,000 people for 7 minutes with a story that had so much impact that it got me there in the first place. Even though I didn't win, I still get to talk to groups like you. Tomorrow I'm going to be a principal for a day at Charles Rice Learning Center over by Fair Park. I'm going to be working with about 600 kids. I don't know if you've ever seen the video of the little boy. What's his name again?
Dalton Sherman.
Dalton Sherman, the little boy who does a speech where he says, do you believe in me? Have you all ever seen that? That's the school he went to. I am so thrilled to get to participate and be a part of his school and meet his teachers. So, in essence, even though I didn't win, it gave me something even better. It gave me the chance to talk about what it's like to handle defeat, because defeat does not mean failure. It just means you learned one other way that things don't work out well. I changed my response. I got over my little pity party. Poor me, I'm not going to go to Toastmasters anymore. And I thought, yeah, I have an opportunity here. I can talk to people. I can talk to kids. I can talk to high school, junior high. I can even talk to the kids at Eastfield College. You're not kids, but you know what I meant. I can talk to the students and the young adults at Eastfield College and hopefully make a difference. And the difference that I use, you know, those 3 letters. Now, some of you will remember that you saw me here today. Oh, a week from now, you'll say, you know, that crazy Mexican guy that was there in the suit and tie? Yeah, I remember him. Some of you may not remember even being here a month from now. Your life goes on and things happen. A year from now, some of you might remember that you were here, and I might just be a rumor. But if you remember only one thing that I've shared with you today, only one thing, I hope that it's this. And it's those 3 letters. And they are E plus R equals O. Say it again for me one time, but as loud as you can. On 3. 1, 2, 3. E plus R equals O. And tell me again what that stands for. The events plus response equals the outcome. Because what this will teach you in life, you may have a family member who needs you to be supportive to them. You may have a spouse or a friend who really needs you to step up like the way Tucker stepped up to help his fellow students. Knowing that you have the power in how you respond to life's disappointments and life's problems will make you a stronger person. And by having that strength, that is how you will achieve anything that you want in life. And you will learn compassion. Because you can say, you know what? I've been in that place. And now that somebody is dealing with the same problem, I truly know how they feel. I can empathize. You will learn empathy. I can empathize with what it's like. And you can be there for that person because you know exactly what they're going through. So the last thing I want to share with you, students, is how much I value all of you. Even though I've only met some of you just today, some of you I've met in Professor Hopkins' class earlier this year. But remember how important you are and how you are worth anything you want to have in life. If you just work for it, you believe in yourself and believe that you're worth it, you can have anything that you want. My name is Marty Ruiz, and it has been awesome talking to you guys. Thank you very much.